Hi, this is Bob for Bob's Movie Reviews, and today we have Vincent with us.
Hello.
And this is our spoiler review of The Amazing Spider-Man 2. If you want to know more about what we thought of the movie, the plot, we did a regular review, we'll put a link to that. But this is going to be basically just spoiling everything for you if you want to know going in or you don't want to see it. This is going to be all the details we can come up with. So why don't you go ahead and start?
Okay.
Put you on the spot this time.
Put me on the spot. All right. So basically, as I said in the non-spoiler review, this movie is basically a setup movie. That's how I felt it was. A setup for the Sinister Six, which is a group of supervillains that come together, 6 supervillains that come together to fight against Spider-Man. Now, if you saw the trailers, you see the Dr. Octopus tentacles, you see the Vulture wings. They show more of the other gadgets for the other villains in the movie, but I couldn't really tell. I think they're adding new villains in that I'm not sure of yet. So it's not. I don't think it's going to be the original Sinister Six, because if I recall, Electro is in the original Sinister Six, but he dies.
Do you think possibly Evil Wolverine?
Evil Wolverine? I don't know. Maybe.
Okay, so this movie takes place after high school. Mary Jane and Peter Parker are on again, off again.
Not Mary Jane.
Gwen Stacy.
Gwen Stacy.
Not Mary Jane. Gwen Stacy. They're on again, off again. She gets accepted to a school in England, and
Oxford.
She's gonna go, and he doesn't want her to go. But it's like they're broken up, but they're in love, and it's too much.
Yeah.
Too long of the movie. So Jamie Foxx character, you remember his name? I don't.
Max Dillon.
He's kind of like a shy, quiet loner who works at Oscorp.
Yeah.
But he comes up with the plans for this electrical system that they start using. And very happy for me, his boss or whatever was BJ Novak from The Office. So that was a nice little. Only in there for a bit, but I liked it. So they have a problem and he has to go fix it, and I didn't understand what happened. Something came unplugged, and this is another thing I don't understand. Like, they don't even have where you can work on it. He's like standing on a railing, and he's like, just like leaning over it, and he's like over a tank of electric eels, and it's like something here does not seem OSHA certified.
Well, I mean, the thing was, it was the end of the day, and everybody else had gone home, and his boss made him stay on his birthday to work on this thing so he could fix it. So I mean, he had nobody to help him.
But still,
the right equipment.
The setup was not anything you would ever imagine. Like I need you to work directly above an open shark tank. We could puddle it on it. We just don't want to.
I think it was basically kind of a cop out, just to be like, okay, this is how it's going to happen, because it was kind of predictable, because you knew going up there something was going to happen.
What I kind of like too was he has the 2 wires. He goes like this, and you expect something to happen, and nothing happens. And then he puts the wire back, and he's like, ah!
And then he falls.
And then he falls into the tank full of electric eels that just go to town on him.
Yeah.
And
that part was actually, if kids go and see this movie, that part was actually kind of scary. That was pretty intense. I was like, wow, because these eels are chomping away at him.
And they're pretty well CGI'd in there.
Yeah, they look
pretty realistic.
They look pretty realistic, and they're very scary looking too.
So I think actually before this we skipped that. What's it? Osborn comes back, Harry's friend, and he takes over Oscorp because his dad died, and now he's dying. Which, I mean, it almost kind of seemed like his dad was like, "Oh yeah, it started about your age." It seems to be rapidly progressing through him, the disease, whatever it was.
Because in The Amazing Spider-Man, the first one, they mentioned Norman Osborn, that he's dying, and Dr. Connors was trying to come up with a cure, and then he doesn't, then uses it on himself, and he becomes Lizard. Yeah. But in this one, he basically dies, and then Harry takes over Oscorp.
Yeah. And so, where were we? So he falls in the electric tank, they think he's dead, and then he comes back to life, and just all this stuff is just falling off him everywhere, and his shoes fall apart, and it becomes this blue, transparent, electrical charged being of some sort, with no explanation of how it happened.
He reminds me of Dr. Manhattan from Watchmen.
I'm not sure who that is, but anyways.
You've never seen Watchmen?
I have, but it's been a while.
Okay.
So, and then he's basically he's not even human anymore. You can't even say he's part human. He's basically electricity in the shape of a human.
Yeah, pretty much.
And he like kind of just like grabs onto electricity and he's like charging him, I guess, almost like feeding him.
Yeah, he's like one big battery.
Yeah, yeah. And that kind of was one thing Peter was trying to do, was trying to figure out, you know, how to make a battery, how much power would make a battery explode, because he thought it would kill him. And Electro would shock his web shooters, so they wouldn't work. So he had to figure out a way to make that happen, and he eventually does. He attaches magnets on. He didn't figure it out.
Oh yeah, Gwen Stacy did.
Gwen Stacy, the thinker. She figured it out. So where are we at now? He's Electro. So then he gets captured because they figure out water is his weakness.
Yeah.
Which water conducts electricity. I'm not sure how is his weakness. It shorted him out. I don't know.
Comic book logic, Steve. Comic book logic.
So they got him in this prison, and then they set up Harry, and he's fired from Oscorp, and so he goes and breaks him out, and in the process takes a spider venom. Looked like it was killing him. It's hard to say exactly what's happening. He definitely doesn't look good. He finds what do they call those? The suits?
Suits, yeah, the exoskeletons.
Kind of like an Elysium exoskeleton. It's just like metal on the outside, and it has a healing thing in it. Which, if that would have healed him in the first place, why didn't you do that? I don't know. It's a little gray area again. There's a lot of gray areas in this movie that aren't explained real well.
Yeah.
So he becomes.
Who
does he become?
They really don't specify which goblin he becomes. He becomes a goblin.
But he becomes the goblin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're not sure if it's the Green Goblin or the Hobgoblin, but
he was, I would like to say, terrible compared to the Goblin from the other Spider-Man.
Yes.
Who was really good, and he's really bad as the Goblin.
If you hated the original Goblin from the original Spider-Man movie, then you're gonna just you're gonna hate this one. Yeah.
Not that they did anything bad.
No.
They focus a lot more on the other one. It's just kind of at the end when he becomes the Goblin. And
yeah, it's really near like the last half hour where he becomes the Goblin, and he's only the Goblin for like 20 minutes. Yeah. So it's not even that long.
So we find out then at one point that Electro is really just pure energy. Like, he disappears into the electricity. So that's why I say he's not even human. He's just electricity. And so they decide the way to beat him is to force so much electricity into him that he will explode like a battery.
Yeah.
Another gray area problem I have with this, he just soaked up the entire city's electricity.
Yeah.
So which electricity did they send into him that was so much worse? He's pure electricity. If you throw electricity to electricity, I don't think it's going to explode. And then it was so anticlimactic when it happened. He's like... They shoot the web on him, the electricity goes through the web, he's like, and he just explodes, and he doesn't even come back. Like, you had to expect he was going to come back, something was going to happen, but no, that's it, he's done. There aren't even any burnt up clothes anywhere.
Or maybe they think he's dead, but then he comes back in the Sinister Six.
Oh, what? Spoiler! Double spoiler and a spoiler alert video.
Spoilerception.
So, let you finish. I've been talking this whole time. You finish off the ending of the love and the friend.
Okay. Well, basically, so when Electro was in prison, the prison that they were in was Ravencroft. That's basically an asylum, pretty much, that's where all the main villains are. That's where all the villains from the Sinister Six come from. So, to the love interest now, I'm a comic book nerd. I knew this going in. I was hoping they were going to do this in the movie. Gwen Stacy dies. Spider-Man actually accidentally kills her. She's falling down this watchtower, and she's like...
I would call it a clock tower.
Clock tower. There you go. That's better. Falling down the clock tower, and he webs her, and he pulls her up. But when he pulls her up, he kind of like snaps her and like breaks her neck. And that's the way...
Okay, myself, that wasn't what I got.
That wasn't what you got?
I got that the web caught her right as she hit the ground.
I don't know. I didn't catch that. Well, because in the comics, it snaps her neck. Because she's falling from a bridge into the water, yeah. And then when he catches her, he snaps her neck.
You could be right. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But there was no blood or anything. That's what I found confusing. But she's like right at the ground, and it looks like she hits the ground right as the web stops her. Keep going.
Okay, but anyways, so she ends up dying, and not to sound weird, but that was probably one of my favorite parts from the movie, just because it was so true to the comics. I really enjoyed it. So Electro dies, and Spider-Man's having a fight with Harry or the Goblin, and then of course he ends up beating him, and then Harry gets put into Ravencroft, the asylum, and then that guy from the first one, I forget his name. They mention his name. I don't know who he is though. He's the guy that was covered in the shadows at the end of the Amazing Spider-Man.
We're talking about the guy who goes to the prison?
Yeah, who goes to the prison and talks to.
Is it just me, or does he sound like Jack Nicholson?
He sounds like Jack Nicholson.
Okay.
Yeah, he does.
I didn't think it was him or anything, but I was like...
Yeah, I'm thinking it might be Mysterio. Just saying, in case anyone knows who that is.
Mysterious?
He's very mysterious.
Or are we talking about the wrestler, Rey Mysterio?
No, Mysterio. It's
Okay.
the Spider-Man villain.
Oh, okay.
But I'm just assuming, because Mysterio is part of the Sinister Six, so it kind of fits. I think that's who he might be. But anyway, he talks to Harry, and Harry basically tells him, I want a small group of villains, I want a team, and everything you need is at Oscorp. And then that's where they finally show the full Sinister Six gadgets, and they start with the Rhino. And the Rhino is only in it for the last, 4 minutes of the movie. Like, actual Rhino suit. And
Huge mechanical.
yeah, huge mechanical Rhino. And they just kind of
Mech,
end it. Yeah,
basically.
they end it like halfway through the
Yeah.
fight. So I'm assuming Spider-Man 3, the Amazing Spider-Man 3, will probably start off with that. Maybe. Who knows?
It was a disappointing way to end it,
Yeah.
for sure. Because you saw in the preview, too, where Spider-Man has the manhole cover or
Manhole
whatever,
cover.
and he's like spinning around, and he hits him, and that's when it ends.
That's
It's
the
like,
last
what?
shot. Yeah, it sucks.
Why?
You
Why
see
is
it-
it that way?
And because you see it in the trailers, you see the last shot of the movie in the trailers,
Yeah.
and I hate when movies do that. I've only seen a couple movies that have done that, but that's one of them. So
Disappointing way to end it, but we both
Yeah.
liked it.
yeah,
It's definitely worth watching. If you guys have seen it or anything, you guys want to just throw anything down in the comments, feel free to do that. And we hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and we will see you next time.